Jazz, did you have anything? Tony, do you have anything?
I'll let Jazz
Yeah,
go
we
first.
wanted to talk about this Bo Nix pick. I actually wanted you to go first because you were saying it was a reach.
Yeah. Bo Nix at this point in the draft, and what are you picking at? Somewhere in the top 15. And Bo Nix was never mentioned as a top 15 pick before today.
Neither was Penix.
Whether I was watching Boss, whether I was watching whoever else, Bo Nix was never mentioned in this conversation. And now we're talking about a quarterback that's up there in age, right? And then that's not typically what you would want with a quarterback coming out of college, right? A guy that's already past that 25-year-old mark, if I'm correct. I like Bo, don't get me wrong, but I don't like Bo at this junction in the draft. I think that's way too high, and the Broncos have a history. He's 24, even still. The Broncos have a history of drafting wrong at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
That's
what
my
if
take.
I told you,
Okay.
Tony, what if
Go
I
ahead.
told you, I'm going to give you my rank.
All right.
Caleb Williams,
Okay.
J.J. McCarthy, number 2. Number 3, Michael Penix,
Okay.
which
Okay.
I might shoot myself on
Okay.
that
You will. But okay. Okay.
We got to let it.
You know I respect you, boss.
The grass speaks.
I got a question for you about that J.J. McCarthy one
yeah.
and two, but okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
Go
it.
ahead.
Because I put my stuff out today.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm a transparent book. Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
And then I had Bo Nix.
At 5.
Yeah. And then, at 6. Yeah. So, and then Drake May.
You had Drake May below.
I put Drake May like last.
You hate Drake? You hate him?
Can't stand him.
Oh, okay.
Like close to hate. It's like I get Mitch Trubisky vibes.
And I was wrong about Michael Penix. He's 23, not 24.
Okay.
I don't know where I got 23.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
and like this is the thing. Like, and I do have a process. In my process, I ignore all media. I don't listen to nobody.
Right.
I go by what I see. Then I peek up my head and say, okay. And I was raising J.J. McCarthy. Because as I kept watching, I'm just being honest, I couldn't hate on the tape. I just
pro-style offense.
Pro-style offense. Run game assistant.
Yeah.
But I saw a lot of throws on the run. I saw a lot of good decision-making. And more importantly, I saw great feet work and mechanics.
Boss, did he throw enough for you, though?
No. But I just judge what I saw.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
okay,
You know
that's
what I'm
fair. That's
saying?
fair. No, that's the tape.
So,
that's what the tape shows.
Yeah, and I that's why I said I couldn't hate on it. You know what I mean? Because I was thinking, and I don't trust the scouting community. I don't. I trust my eyes. So I was thinking it was wee-woo when I was seeing the rise, but I came around to it. I said, and now Michael Penix to me is the best deep ball thrower in the draft.
Yes.
It's not even close.
Yes.
Like, you could have put him over Caleb.
Yeah.
In terms of deep ball accuracy and deep ball confidence.
I agree with that.
Now, the thing I think they didn't like about Michael Penix is his mechanics is disgustingly ugly. But you have to, in my opinion, you got to look at where the ball lands, not how it looks coming out.
I think the drawback for Penix is that he doesn't have that extra mobility factor. He can get out of the pocket, but anytime he's ever even attempted to start running or really scramble or throw off platform, like off platform throws don't exist for him.
Yeah.
And I think people are really looking for that like Patrick Mahomes substitute, What I do like about Penix, though, however, is his finesse. Like, he is good at commanding an offense. He is good at reading defenses.
Yeah.
He is good at doing what he needs to do from within the pocket. And there are some coordinators that really like that. They really appreciate that. So I think if they can build on that, that's going to go well.
And sorry to cut you off. To piggyback off, and I'm going to let you go. I think Penix in the playoffs tells us everything we need to know about him. The way he played, and against a Texas defense that was actually really good.
Yes.
That says a lot about him.
Very, very composed, very in control. There's a lot of upside to Penix, in addition to the fact that, yes, he does have a beautiful deep ball. So I don't think Penix should be as low as he was on a lot of people's boards. I think just the fact that he's not as mobile, he's not as flashy, not as many highlights, people kind of got bored with him. I think that's what happened. Now let's talk about this Bo Nix pick, which is what we took the mics for.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are making fun of the Broncos right now for having the worst quarterback room in the NFL. They just took Zach Wilson from the Jets. And now they have Bo Nix, who a lot of people were like, he shouldn't even be going in the first round. But this is what I'm going to say about Sean Payton.
Okay.
As someone who grew up a Saints fan and watched Sean Payton for a long time, who studied Sean Payton and how he interacts with his quarterbacks. Now, I don't know if this will play out to be true, but I do think Sean Payton believes he can do something with that QB room. We're talking about a head coach who turned Drew Brees, who was described as non-athletic, average at best, a mid-quarterback, a game manager. He turned Drew Brees into a Hall of Famer. He made Jameis Winston look like a competent quarterback.
So, Jazz, let me. Do we expect old dogs?
Tony, I wanted to fight you.
Why?
Because you said you had a problem with my quarterback, so I just wanted to fight
J.J.
you.
McCarthy, boss?
Yeah,
Boss, you better than that.
What you mean?
J.J. McCarthy.
Like, what about him?
How can you put a guy at 2? You didn't even see him throw enough.
I know, but
he threw like 5 times a game.
Okay, that's the fight you wanted.
I'm just tell me. You know I love your takes. But you gotta sell J.J. McCarthy to me as your number 2 quarterback on the board.
The Saints are taking Talisi Fuaga, by the way.
I like that.
If this is my sell on J.J. McCarthy.
Okay.
If you do what you did at Michigan, you go win 10 games with him.
Are we expecting for him to have like a setup like that every time?
No.
Okay.
But I'm just saying he's the type of guy, in my opinion, that he showed that if you put a run game around him.
Devonta Williams, yeah, right.
Yeah, and let's be honest. What weapons did Michigan really have that was just so pristine?
The receivers were good.
Blake
Corum.
Right. Yeah, Blake Corum is the running back, but I'm saying what he was throwing to at that 77+%.
Okay.
Right, was kind of like womp-ish.
Roman Wilson.
Like, but if you go look at what, obviously, the other quarterbacks was throwing to, except for Drake May, they was throwing to some outright dogs, right? You look at Daniels, what was he throwing to? He was throwing to top guys.
He was.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
Sometimes your weapons can make you, So if I look at you working with kind of average guys, but you getting it done, it says to me now that you're going to 2 first-round guys, with, you know what I mean, that you might have something if you support him with a running game.
Okay.
I think you have to support him, though. You have to support him. If you don't support him,
that's where my fight is. Why am I supporting a guy?
Hold on real quick. I can't see the picks. What's going on with the picks?
They got a troubleshoot issue.
There's something going on with DirecTV. That's why I was letting you know that the Saints picked.
What happened after Bo? I need to know that real quick.
So the Saints picked. Who did I just say? Hold on.
Fornash. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Thank you, bro.
All right, the Raiders picked Brock Bowers.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Hold on
I
real quick.
Brock Bowers.
My boy want to ask us a question real quick.
Let's go.
Hey, the question I got for y'all. So we just saw McCarthy, Bo Nix, and who's the other one that just went? McCarthy, Bo Nix. It was a third quarterback that a lot of people wasn't expecting.
Michael Penix?
J.J. McCarthy.
Okay.
All 3 of these guys, there was a lot of talk through the major media about, what quarterbacks are going to go in the top 10 and all this stuff. These guys have just got picked. What are y'all feelings about what's going to happen as far as now the talent that's being pushed towards the Cowboys since we got all these quarterbacks going?
I feel. You want to take this first, or?
I mean, I don't have a lot to say except that when you look at who they took in for their top 30 visits, right? It was a lot of O-linemen, running backs, and defensive tackles and linebackers. So, I mean, for me, it doesn't change who I think they'll pick, but to me, it says that there's just less to stress about.
Yeah, guys are getting pushed down.
Yeah.
Like, we could talk about Bo and say what's good or what's bad, but because in a lot of mocks he wasn't made to go that high, that's when you start saying, okay, somebody's getting pushed down. Here's what I don't love about stuff like that. I think it puts other teams into a frenzy where they're like, oh, this team got it when they got Bo Nix. We weren't expecting that. Now the next team that needed something is going to reach for something that they weren't intending to reach for. That makes the next team after that.
I hope they reach for the 24th pick and give us something
right.
in exchange for
now,
it.
there could be the advantage for the Cowboys for them to say, all right, hey, we got X amount of guys sitting here. We still got the linemen that we want, that we love. We'll trade down. Who wants these guys that's still sitting here at this point? Again, when you reach for players, I think it tends. I'm gonna stand on it. I think it tends other teams into a frenzy. But I like it for the guys that's kind of falling right now. I like it, and I like our chances to not sit at 24, trade back 28. I like a Buffalo Bills pick, maybe 32 with the Kansas City Chiefs. Let them go get a guy, and then we let everybody else fall to us. I think it's working out in our favor right now, though.
I think you hit it dead on the head.
Okay, so the Raiders picked Bowers.
Okay.
And the Saints picked Fuaga.
Yeah. Hold on.
Talisa Fuaga.
Who else we got?
And apparently Kirk Cousins did not know that they were going to draft Michael Penix Jr.
Oh, wow. Did he tweet something, or was that?
He didn't tweet anything, at least not that I saw, but several sources are reporting that Kirk Cousins was not given a heads up.
Well,
now for a journeyman like Kirk Cousins, do you think that's significant though? Like, do you think it's reasonable for Kirk Cousins to have the expectation?
At this point in Kirk's career, I can see why the Falcons didn't say, "Hey, we're going to get a guy." I can see that because Kirk is your upper echelon journeyman. He's the guy that's going to throw the ball everywhere. He's going to win us some games with his arm. He's going to lose us some games. But he isn't that star-studded guy that I'm going to bring in and say, oh, hey, guess what? We're still going to bring in the guy behind you.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people would think this is unwarranted, but even when I saw the pick, I said to you, you heard me, I said, I wonder if Michael Penix is actually going to compete with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Because I do think that's a possibility. So, with that being the case, and it hasn't been reported whether he was upset about the news or indifferent, so I don't want to put words in his mouth or say something in terms of his perception of it that isn't true. But I do understand them not telling him. I don't think in the case of the Falcons and Kirk Cousins that this is a big deal. Now, if it was another team and another quarterback, it might be a bigger deal. Like if the Eagles drafted a quarterback and didn't tell Jalen Hurts, that would be
a different
weird.
story.
That would be weird.
Story. And that's even the same for Dak. Like I think the Cowboys should say, "Hey, Dak, we're gonna go get this quarterback guy."
Exactly.
Kirk is a guy I watched.
But they didn't with
right.
Trey Lance.
That's true. They didn't. But I watched Kirk go from Washington to the Vikings, and the Vikings his time in Minnesota was his opportunity to try to get it right.
Hey, I don't mean to break y'all up. I want to kind of catch up to these picks. So Brock Bowers and then Fuega just came out, right?
You like
exactly.
Him?
So this is my take on tight end.
Real quick, the Colts are drafting edge Leatu Latu.
Okay.
Perfect. So
what pick are they at?
And I got it in
15.
front of me too, Jazz. I got it in front of me now.
Have we had a defensive player yet?
So this is the deal, y'all.
First.
Actually, right here.
Real quick. Oh, see, man, he eating so good, man. Coming down here at Shakerton, like real quick, I want to make a statement about Brock Bowers. This is the last time I'm telling y'all that I'm going to allow a tight end to have a average year one and just watch people hate on running back. I'm not going to allow it. If Bowers, I mean this, if Bowers is the next bust out of a long history of tight end busts, I would
Hold on, boss. I saw your tweet on that.
Yeah.
About the running backs. Tell me, what's your thoughts on that?
It's crazy.
Because they've disrespected running backs over the years.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
It's crazy. So if you look at actual production and you look at the spirit of most fans when we start even talking about running back in the first, it's like you cuss somebody's mama out.
Yeah.
Right? But when you look at who was everybody saying was the MVP last year, OC? They was talking about your boy from San Fran, wasn't it? Right,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So why does running backs, when you really need them, you lean on them, but when it's time to draft them, you spit on them?
And here's my thing about that.
I'm just being honest.
I don't like how the league now, football in general, has required more out of running backs, and you're trying to pay them less.
Yeah.
Now, I get it. You want to burn the tires off a guy in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And then we get mad when guys like Zeke, or at the time when Todd Gurley was getting signed, was saying, hey, I'm $90 million worth, X amount of money. Of course, because all you did was hand off. And then we get mad when a running back asks for his money because he's the guy with the shortest lifespan on the shelf.
Right.
Like, I don't think that's been fair to running backs. These 3-year, $27 million deals where we reset the market to a cheap discount, I think we're doing running backs a real disservice. I'm not saying they got to be $90 million, but they damn sure ain't $27 million.
And it
that's
depends on the running back.
I think the issue with being unfair to running backs actually starts with the rules, if you think about it. Because wide receivers are kind of heralded as kind of like the upper echelon of an offense, right? But there's also so many rules that protect them. Like, imagine if there was a pass interference rule or not a pass interference, but imagine if there was a comparable run interference rule that applied to running backs, where it's like, oh, if you get in a running back's way, that's a penalty. You don't even have to take him to the ground or hit him real hard.
Yeah.
Like, For one thing, imagine how much longer their lifespan would be. Imagine how much healthier they would be. And then imagine how many more yards they would
Well,
get.
here's my
But
biggest
wide
thing
receivers
is
are so protected.
you're asking running backs now to go out like receivers, go out and run routes,
100%.
go out and pay. Like,
If you're running back without receiving qualities, you have almost no
or
value.
even pass blocking at that matter. Now, those are all the facets that come with a running back, but we're asking them to do two jobs at once. Back in the gap, running backs were running backs. Emmett and all those guys, yeah, they caught passes, but they ran a lot. And now we're saying, oh, beat Christian McCaffrey. Do 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing. And then I'll say, oh, well, I don't know if I'm really going to pay you. What you mean you're not going to pay me? You're asking me to fulfill two positions at one time.
Yeah, and that's all really great points. I'm going to make two quick comments about the picks.
Okay.
Look, Brock Bowers is the best tight end in this draft.
I agree.
So no problem with him being into the first round. I just think it's a little bit rich for a tight end unless he's your final piece. If he's the final piece in your offense, if he's going to be the difference maker to push you over the edge, pick him that high. But I'm not in favor of
But
picking
what tight ends do that?
Nobody.
That's what I'm saying.
So I'm not in favor of picking tight ends top 15.
Now, if it's anybody that could, I would say him.
Yeah, he's exceptional.
But he should be the last one. If he comes out like the last 19.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, it
it's
should
over.
be.
Now, what Latu was my number one edge. He was my number one edge, and he's the first edge off the board. Latu, to me, is the most complete football-wise and efficiency-wise. He wins with his hands. He can drop back in coverage and play in space. He does not ever stay engaged on blocks. He finishes at the quarterback. He has enough speed to turn, enough power to disengage and keep you off of it. I think that's a great pick, and I think he's actually going to be top two, maybe not one, but top two most productive edges in this year's draft class out of the guys to go 1 and 2, which should be Turner next.
All right, so you was the one that came out on the ledge and you predicted the production of Michael Parsons famously.
Yes.
What are you predicting for Latu? I don't mean to put you on the spot like that.
No, I'll predict it. I think if he gets starter reps, he's going to get double-digit sacks. If he gets starter reps and he's healthy most of the year, when I say most of the year, he doesn't miss more than 3 games. If he doesn't miss more than 3 games, he's a guy that's going to end up with 10-plus sacks as a rookie.
That's a rookie?
As a rookie. Woo. As a rookie.
Man, listen, y'all. If the OC hit that, y'all need to all send him about $100 in super chats, bro. Because it's going to be the, man, 10?
Because his game translates in
It's really
terms of
good.
length, in terms of hand fighting, in terms of understanding what it takes to actually turn the tackle. If you watch his tape, every game he's turning a tackle. In other words, he's making the tackle open up his hips to gain an advantage to get a two-way goal. Typically, it's through his outside shoulder. So because he's so technically sound, that nuance will translate and help him to be productive on the next level. And he never, like I said earlier, he never loses with his hands. Watch all the tape.
Is he the purest football player?
I don't
Because
know.
I have to ask that question because of his story with his neck.
I think he's the purest technical pass rusher. He's not the best athlete. When you look at Miles Turner, you get wild.
No, I
because
said football player, like just playing football, because your mentality, when a team tells you to retire and you refuse, and you still productive and not playing timid, as we've seen with like LVE and we kind of starting to see with Clark. That's what made me ask that question about football player.
I think he's complete in terms of being a defender, because if you look at how he plays, he rushes and he plays run and pass based upon the scenario.
Yeah.
And so you'll see him turn the gas up on third and 8.
Right.
You'll see him be ready for the quick pass on 3rd and 3.
Yeah.
You'll see him play stiff when it's 1st and 10.
Right.
So you see him adjust his technique based upon the scenario. And in the NFL, what you find more often than not is scenario-based football.
Yeah.
And that's why I think he's going to translate well.
Real quick, y'all. I'm watching the chat right now. If y'all got any questions for the panel as we leading up to our pick, we go feed in some of y'all, comments and obviously kind of make it happen for you. We appreciate everybody that's rocking and watching right now. Obviously being a faithful family member to what we all doing. So, yeah, man, we really appreciate y'all for rocking with Law Nation and Boss Cowboy Sports.
Boss, I just want you to know, I'm not going to let that J.J. McCarthy thing go yet. we got
Now, if you're wrong, Tony, you're going to have to pay me for that.
I'm cool with that. I'm going to stand on it. But
it's easy to beat up people when they say things that's unpopular, but you got to come back and reward me handsomely if I'm right. Because I did stand on the ledge and I put it out there publicly. So it's easy to beat up and bullied me because I said something.
See, I ain't even trying to bully you, boss.
Yeah, you are.
I'm like,
You
no,
done went way back
I'm
to
like, wait a
McCarthy.
minute, boss.
We done moved all the way
Guys,
out to McCarthy.
Cause I had to
I
go back
stood
to
on it. Listen, I stand
The
on my
Seahawks
film.
are drafting DL Byron Murphy
Okay.
with the number
Okay.
16 pick.
Okay.
This
They'll
is
put him.
perfect. Oh, my God. Listen, Cowboy
is
Nation.
The draft is falling exactly like we needed.
This is better.
This is
Because
perfect.
we getting defense
I
that's
almost
coming
feel
out.
like the decision for the Cowboys is just getting harder and harder. And so many
It
of the
says
people
move
that
down.
they were looking at that are still left on the board.
We're
I do-
moving aggressively to move down.
I do want to ask, is there any potential scary run on a position?
No,
that
it's
we're not-
over.
Scary
Because-
run? Nah.
This is why I say there's no boogeyman left. We at 15, and there hasn't been a major tackle run yet. It would have to go absolutely crazy starting now.
Was the J.C. Latham pick too high, or was that fine?
I think it was a good pick.
It was a good pick.
Okay.
I think it was a good pick.
And that was a fair pick.
Yeah, I think outside of technical errors, he has the most physical upside.
Here's my thing about the Cowboys. If you listen to what Mike McCarthy said at the press conference, just going off him, not the other two, one of the things that he said is that he's not expecting to fill position for position what they lost due to attrition, right? So they are looking for players who can come in and contribute. So based on that logic, right now they're in a position to where they could comfortably move down and get a few more picks to fill in a few more holes in the roster. Or I guess I shouldn't say fill in holes, but find some more people to contribute.
Yeah.
Because listen to Mike McCarthy tell it, they're not necessarily looking to fill in holes the way that fans are thinking about it. They're just looking to get pieces that can contribute.
Right.
So if they're planning to be smart with their picks, then having a few more by moving down a little bit could work to their advantage based on the strategy that Mike McCarthy described.
So I'm looking at my tackle list in total.
Yeah.
I had Joe Alt, number 1. I had Fashanu, number 2. J.C. Latham, number 3. Troy, number 4.
Okay.
So now what's sitting there for us is Mims, Barton, Kingsley, Troy,
Troy's still there.
Morgan.
Jordan Morgan, Tyler Guyton.
Can somebody like clear the air around this whole Tyler Guyton situation? I've been hearing different things, so I just want to know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So Tyler Guyton is a tall, long tackle. He's strong at the point of attack. He's hyper athletic. He's kind of like a younger Tyron Smith type, okay? He has played right tackle, but he shows athleticism where he can play either tackle. The thing that you don't like about him is some of the technical stuff where he's missing with his hands and where he's not having clean sets. But athletically speaking, in terms of his length and in terms of his frame, you love him, you like what you see, you think that in the next couple of years, if you get him in a good system, and the Cowboys do have a good system, and the Cowboys do have good offensive line training and good strength coaches, you look at that guy as a guy that, okay, this guy can turn into something. So that's the thought about
Yeah, because there's some debates, man. Did y'all have anything on that?
Not on Guyton, no.
Oh, because there's some debates.
Yeah, that was
It's-
my question, because I guess it's like, is he moving guys? We
I
love athleticism.
He's not a power player at this point.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's going to be more so turn into an elite pass rusher. Like the guy that I really think can turn into an elite pass rusher and move people. He doesn't have a lot of tape. He's had some injury stuff, but you can't coach 6'7", 6'8", 340, right? Is my guy Mims. And that's why if he falls to 24, I really hope that's the pick. Now, however, the Cowboys, based upon pattern, they may go ahead and pick Barton, right? That's the safe
That's
pick.
who I think they'll go with.
That's the safe pick. But if you look at a guy that has upside, that could be a banger, and you're going to get the guy stronger because everybody that's even been injured with the Cowboys, what happens? They come back before they're ready. They come back, and they still serviceable even though they're not all the way right. But anyway.
I think because of some of the intangibles that they're looking for from an O-lineman, I think that's what makes the Cowboys more likely to pick Barton. I think when it comes to the physical aspects, right, a lot of people look at Barton as a safe pick, and they look at Guyton as, something special, which he most definitely is. But I think when it comes to the combination of the physical qualities as well as the intangibles, they consider Barton to be a little bit more special, and they think they can get someone comparable to Guyton a little bit later. That's the vibe that I'm getting.
The thing is
interesting.
I've been noticing, especially last year, when you look at the RAS scores, that was the thing about the Schoonmaker pick.
Yeah.
The Schoonmaker pick, everybody scratched their head until you looked at the RAS scores. When you look at the RAS scores and you see how athletic he was, and then you start looking at the other picks, all those guys are the same. High RAS scores, but they seem like they was overreaches, right? So what that told me, to your point last time on Mims, and can go to Tyler Guyton, is that the Dallas Cowboys do bet on upside too.
100%.
They do.
You know,
They
and they
do that a lot.
majorly bet on it. So I'm talking about because most of us was shocked at school. Like, what?
Right.
But
The Cowboys and the blackjack
when you
table.
saw the pattern that they're upside gamblers.
Right.
So, and then how many times are you going to be in a draft to where you can actually get a freak at 24 at tackle?
And remember the press conference with Stephen Jones. He alluded to this. He said, we picked Tyron Smith. Well, they had other guys rated ahead of
He
Tyron
did.
Smith.
You right.
He alluded to that in his
sure
press
right.
conference.
Yeah,
so he
Facts,
told you a
facts.
little. He told you a little something right there that we may not pick who you think we should pick.
And I think they trying to keep Tyler at guard.
Right.
Because he coming up on a
So
contract.
Right.
I do have a question about that.
Yeah, go
Or
ahead.
is it taboo at this point to consider moving him back to tackle to get a guard or whatever the case is in the draft if it flows that way?
I think it's all based on how well whoever they draft plays.
Right.
I think if that guy comes in, he shows that he can play and for the most part hold it down.
Sorry, if it's Jordan Morgan, right? Short arm guy, they can play guard or tackle. If we're drafting him, what does your offensive line look like? Is that Smith at tackle, or are we keeping that guard? We're saying Jordan Morgan, you go tackle.
If you draft Jordan Morgan, I think that Smith bumps out to play left tackle because he's the safest and most trusted guy at tackle. Jordan Morgan is the guy that is shorter armed. He's good. He can play tackle, but that's actually a lot of a rookie to be ready to play left tackle. It was actually a lot for Tyler Smith to do it.
Yeah.
But it just shows how exceptional he is and the fact that he did it without no snaps at left tackle. So,
Yeah, it's just perfect, though, for Dallas. Dallas is also, in my opinion, y'all, in a great move-down position.
yeah,
You cannot beat this move-down position because now it's starting to get to where you almost can't go wrong.
right.
You know, it's like,
Right.
bro, like, you got so many of your guys that you can pick. Go get more picks,
Right.
you know.
I think in this draft, again, the Cowboys just can't stand pat. You're not built with your picks, and at least in the way they're lined up. You can draft perfect first round. You can draft pretty perfect second round. But
The Minnesota Vikings select Dallas Turner.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. I like that.
And that's funny because I had Latu first, I had him second, and they end up falling just like that.
Well, he's
wow.
the Daniil Hunter replacement. So
Yeah, exactly.
he's the
And
Daniil
This is
Hunter
beautiful
replacement.
for Dallas.
He-
Oh, my
he's
God.
he's a great pickup.
And see, that's why I did not believe the rumors that was going around today. Like, it could be a run to where they wiped out that tackle. I say, how you going to go through 11 tackles?
Right. Right.
Like, it tell you the stuff
Yeah.
we hear. It's like, no, bro, that's impossible. Like, I've never seen a draft like that. And it's too much good defense for that to happen. But this is even better than Dallas better move down now.
Yeah, well, we got to see what happens. See, this 18th pick is pivotal because they could go tackle
They
here.
definitely should go
Cincinnati
tackle.
can go a lot of different ways.
So now,
This is tackle.
so yeah, but this is what I call a hinge pick.
Okay.
Because if they pick tackle here, you could have a slight bump on tackles between 19 all the way up to the Cowboys, and then now you got to kind of be careful here. This is the sweet spot.
So these are the tackles that's left.
Yeah.
Who would be the pick, OC?
For the Bengals,
The Bengals.
yeah, I think the Bengals is going to go with the next available, man. So I think they're going with your Washington tackles, man.
Troy.
They're going with Troy.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go
can
with
see
Troy.
I'm thinking Troy.
Well, I think
but-
we got two offensive lineman picks. I think Pittsburgh goes offensive lineman because I know they really need
Right.
one. The Rams.
And that's where Mims can come off to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's where he can really
Yeah.
come off.
Yeah.
I want them to make that little weird reach. I saw it in the mock draft.
Right.
I said, okay, for Tyler Guyton,
Right.
a
The
guy
Bengals
like him.
have been moving real
We're going
weird
to see a
this
little bit of a
offseason.
run.
I feel like. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I'm enjoying this. I'm loving this draft talk. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying in general, the Bengals have been moving real weird this offseason, and
Yeah.
it makes me think that they're about to do something really weird with this pick.
I hope they're weird.
I mean, because nobody knows where they go.
They
I mean,
lost to Wuze, right?
Yeah.
So we still got some corners that's left that's top rated.
I'm like, I could use some comic relief.
What's
Please
they
do
got at
something that
Clemson?
makes no sense.
Yeah, him too.
Him
He's
too.
available.
I think he's available.
I just hope they don't do something like pick Mims here.
Me too, bro.
Because if they pick Mims here,
It's gonna start a run.
That starts the run.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking earlier.
Hold on, hold on. The Bengals are drafting offensive tackle Amarius Mims with the 18th pick.
I told you, dude, if they pick Mims, now Barton is gone.
Well,
Now
let's see.
Barton's gone.
Let's see.
I think
Troy is gone.
We're about to see.
I think they might both get gone, bro.
If they get
said
Barton,
if
she
they-
we might be left. We might be left with our OU tackle, bro.
yeah,
We might end up being left with our OU
I'm
tackle.
gonna be cool with it too.
But I'm cool with it. I also really like the upside of our BYU
All right, let's
tackle
go
as
back
well.
to that then, Tyler Guyton.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's talk about it because that's probably what it is.
yeah.
If it end up being Tyler Guyton, then I'm gonna get on record right now. This is why I love the draft. It's because you can say things right now that you held accountable for the next 10 years.
Yes, I agree.
And it's
That's
before it
why I
happens.
hate
We could be
doing
right or
draft.
we could be
I
wrong.
like it. I like it because I like to stand on what I say. You know what I mean? So this is the deal. Tyler Guyton is going to be, if we get him, another long track record of Dallas Cowboys success.
Yeah.
And this is why I say that. It's just so obvious that we have the character in the room that's now traditional. Like at this point, the mantle has been passed in terms of being a professional offensive lineman to Steele, to Tyler Smith. It's been passed. They have taken on the mantle of Tyron Smith and Zach Martin. Those guys can go on to heaven. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's one of those things to where the character is in the room, how to be a pro. Like, look what happened to Steele. Everybody was hating on Steele, but they came out with the generational stats showing that he was literally fit in giving up pass protection.
Yeah.
On a bad knee. Who came back early.
Came back early.
So that's one of those things, that's from the character of that room. And if a Tyler Guyton with his raw skills comes to Dallas and he sits in that room, he's not the biggest guy, he's the smallest guy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he gonna have to line up to what's in the room. And I think it's gonna transfer.
I agree with you on that, Boss Cowboy. I think that the Dallas Cowboys have a type. They have a type of player that they like.
Yeah.
And so when you look at him, he fits into the profile of a tall, long arm tackle that's fluid, that's athletic.
Yeah.
They like those types.
Yeah.
And so they typically draft those types. So if he's there and these other guys are gone, they're gonna get it.
I will say from my personal perspective, I do think that this is one scenario where they should value the physical qualities over the cerebral ones. I understand what they expect from their offensive line in terms of pre- and post-snap communication. I get that. But how often do we find somebody with the physical attributes to go with that?
At 24.
Right. Now, if he were the center, I would feel like it's more important. But at tackle, I feel like those physical attributes, especially what Guyton possesses, I feel like they are special. So I get what's happened with some of the potential picks for the Cowboys and why they followed on the Cowboys board because of whatever happened in pre-draft interviews and whatnot. I get that. But I feel like, especially if a run happens like you predict, I feel like this is one situation where they should definitely make an exception because there's not a lot of players in this draft. While the O-linemen are deep in this draft, right? There's not a lot of players in this draft with that specific profile that makes him so good at being a tackle. We've seen a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm a guard and I can play tackle too, right? But there's not as many people, I feel like, who are just like so suited to play tackle that well, who are going to be available at this point.
So here's what I do want to ask. The Cowboys always have faith in their depth guys, right? They always have faith in the guys already on the team. How much does guys like TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman affect what happens at 24?
I think that you will see how they really feel about TJ Bass and Brock by what happens with this pick. I think that's going to determine how they really feel about those guys. I think that Bass is a starter. Yeah. He's an NFL starter.
I feel Bass is a starter.
I think Bass is a starter at guard or at center, by the way. Either one he can play, in my opinion. Now, I think Hoff is a guy that has to prove himself. I think he's scrappy. I think he's a dog, but I'm not sure about him yet. So how they feel about them ultimately will be determined by this pick.
I don't think it says so much about Bass or Hoffman. I think they probably already feel a way about Edoga and Why her name's not coming to me? What's his name?
Awesome.
Awesome
Yes,
Richards.
Awesome Richards.
Yeah, Awesome Richards.
And I feel like those are probably the people that they're looking to pick someone better than. I have a lot of faith in Bass and Hoffman, right? But that's just two people, right? Then we've got Tyler Smith, right? So it's like technically we could still use a couple more people, especially when you look at what Jerry Jones is saying, like, well, why have one player when you could have three? Like,
Yeah. I'll say this. When you talk about, Hassan Richards, he's a second-year guy. So you're looking to see if he makes the big jump at this point.
I don't think he will.
So the jury's out on him until we get into training camp. Now, when you talk about Chuma, we know that Chuma is not a tackle. We know that Chuma is a depth pick. Chuma is an emergency tackle. That's all he is. He's really a backup guard. That's what he is. So we'll kind of see how this whole thing goes.
right, but like with things as they stand, if Tyler Smith were to go to tackle, Chuma would be at guard. With things as they stand, unless they pick somebody to go in that position. So that's kind of more what I was speaking to, is that you got to pick somebody to go into one of those spots in order to make the O-line make sense right now.
Okay.
Otherwise, Chuma ends up on the field, or Austin Richards ends up on the field. And I have nothing against Austin Richards. Just from my perspective, a lot of his issues are with his mechanics, and that's a lot harder to fix than just understanding what you need to do. Like, he literally doesn't seem to have the physical ability to do certain things. Like, he couldn't get low enough. He was constantly reaching, which made it so easy for defensive players to, like, force him to fall over or get out of position or get spun around. That, if it were just knowledge, I'd be like, okay, we can coach that out of him. But it literally looked to be like physical detriments that were his issue.
Let's see it.
Here we go, baby.
The Cincinnati Bengals select Amarius Mims.
Okay.
Yeah. Good job, too, man. Good pick by them, man.
Yeah.
God dog it. That was my guy. Good pick, man. That's a good pick by them,
I don't
man.
think what was the guy that was with us that was that right tackle last year?
Still?
No, the guy before Steele. They came back.
You talking about
Lyle.
Lyle. That's the pick. That's the Lyle. Hey, we got to right that wrong. Okay.
Yeah. And man, I said this. We were talking a couple shows ago. I said he may not be there 24.
Yeah.
We were talking about it, and man, this is.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and it's a good pick for them.
It makes sense. And going back to the question about T.J. Bass and Awesome Richards, the good thing about Tyler Guyton is that you also help your competition at center.
Yeah, and then if you bump Tyler Smith out to left tackle, you're probably looking at Bass to play left guard, don't you think?
I love it.
You're probably looking at him to play left guard.
So I got a question for that.
Okay.
Are we hindering Tyler Smith moving him back to tackle, or are we just saying, hey, go out there and play football here, man?
Tyler Smith was a notch below a Pro Bowl player as a rookie playing left tackle.
Wow,
he gave up
out there.
6 sacks.
Wow, just thrown out there too.
He gave up 6 sacks, and this is without any prep.
No
and so
prep,
this has
no
been
training
this has been my point. If you allow this man by letting him know in June, hey man, we're looking at putting you back at left tackle. This guy's gonna be with Duke. This guy's gonna be on the grass. This guy's gonna be ready to go. And so I think with him, he's so talented. You have a Pro Bowl left guard. You also have a Pro Bowl left tackle if he has to play there.
Tyler Smith's fate and where he's going to go is getting ready to be decided in 15 minutes.
Yep.
His future of where he's going to play is getting ready to be decided. If we get Tyler Guyton, we're going to look at a Hall of Fame guard. If we go with Barton, we're going to be looking at a Pro Bowl easily left tackle. Yeah, real quick, man. I want to get y'all thoughts real quick on like what's available. Like, what would be the surprise pick potentially?
At this point, go ahead.
I think for me, the surprise pick would be if they went on the defensive side.
Yes.
Because, like, let's be real, there are some needs on the defensive side, but I think nobody expects them to make a pick like that this early. And I don't know if I should call that a surprise or a disappointment or both, But that would be the thing for me is, like, if they were to go defense, I would be really shocked.
You know what? I would give it to a receiver. Guys like Adonai Mitchell sitting there. Weirdly enough, the Cowboys could take the bait, take the cheese out.
I think that's a more feasible surprise pick.
and say, we're going to go get the receiver.
Because there has been that speculation about BPA, which could end up being a receiver at this point.
Who was on the 30 draft visit, too.
100%.
I would love that. What's good, man?
What up,
How y'all
Law?
been living, man?
Hey, man, we've been talking this ball, man.
Y'all been talking some good
Talking
ball,
some ball,
man. Hey, it's all good, man. We getting ready for the Cowboys pick.
Yeah.
It's almost up, man.
The
how
best
y'all-
part of the night.
The best part.
Here we go.
The wonderful part of the night,
Yeah.
Candy. You
The
know,
most wonderful time of the
it's
night.
the most
The Rams are
wonderful
picking
time
edge
of the
Jared
year.
Verse with the number 19 pick.
Oh,
Perfect.
my goodness. We were so
Perfect.
close to Jared Verse.
That's okay. That's
It's
okay.
okay.
That's okay.
And I heard that Byron Murphy already left, so
Yeah, he's
that's
gone.
another thing, too. I wanted him so bad, you know. And I thought that, you know, if we could get somebody like that, that could be an accelerator for whoever we have in the inside. Of course, Osa is a guy that we know is getting a contract year, too. And nobody's talking about that, you know.
Oh, Diggy Zula. That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
Osa. Yeah,
He's a
Osa.
contract is.
Yeah. So a contract year. What are your thoughts on Osa? Osa,
Repeat.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on Osa or your thoughts on Osa? Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I feel like Osa has contributed a lot. He's become one of the
Right.
beloved members of the defense for
Right.
the Dallas Cowboys fans, and for very good reason. And I don't think he's reached his ceiling yet. I feel like there's a lot of room for him to contribute.
Right.
However, with the way the Joneses have been acting about these contract extensions, renewals, and things of that nature, it's really hard to determine what they would do with a player like Osa, especially
Right.
considering what other players in his position are getting paid right now.
Right.
There's just so much up in the air that's not up to him. If it were just up to him, like, he would get an extension and he'd still be a Cowboy, we wouldn't even be talking about it being his last year, because I have 100% faith that he'll continue to contribute as he always has. I think the questions surrounding Osa really come down to how the front office is handling these contracts and what it means going forward. So, but I mean,
100%.
how I feel, I love him.
Right. I completely agree 100%. I would like to keep Oza for sure, but like she said, it depends on what the front office wants to do. And we're seeing right now the lack thereof. But we have to keep somebody.
Yeah.
You know, we have to keep somebody. We can't just keep saying, okay, we're okay without this player. We need to
Right.
keep some heavy hitters, and I think
Exactly.
we need to keep
So I've been
Oza.
thinking a lot on this whole Cowboys
Okay.
signing players thing.
Okay.
And I think a lot of the times we get drawn up and, oh, how come they haven't gotten this guy signed or doing these things?
Right.
Jerry Jones and Steven are a lot of things in the book that we can go down and list the name. One thing I would really say is they aren't done.
Definitely
Yeah.
not.
If you feel like you can wait on a player to get signed, then obviously you must know that at some point, regardless of what happens, I can
Right.
sign him.
Right.
You told CeeDee Lamb, we're going to wait another year.
Yeah.
He goes and puts up 1,700 yards. And then
Right.
you're saying, okay, we're waiting on Dak. He goes and puts up a nearly MVP caliber season.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
think the question was ever about whether or not you could sign these
Right.
players. I think a lot of people want to see these signings happen sooner. Hold on, I'm going to wait for them to announce what I just said.
Let's go with it, baby. Let's get it. And Verse. He's gone. Verse.
Jared
is gone.
Verse. All right. So, I don't think it's like, can we sign these players? A lot of people want to see them happen sooner so that the price is lower, so that there's more room under the salary cap to get more weapons, so that we have a better
Exactly.
chance of doing better in the postseason. That's what a lot of people are looking for. Because here's the thing. The Joneses are burning the candle at both ends when it comes to explaining the situation with the fans. On one hand, they'll be like, oh, well, there's too much of the salary cap taken up by these players.
Right.
And then they'll wait forever to sign a player so that they end up taking up more of the salary cap. And so it's like they're perpetuating a cycle that's biting them in the ass, and then they're like gaslighting fans into believing that it's not what they're doing. That's the issue.
And
They
it's
can sign
purposeful.
whoever.
I think
of
it's
course they
completely
can sign CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is sitting back with his feet kicked up because he's
That was
watching
a hard season.
So-
like he's watching the
Facts.
market get reset. It got reset yesterday. It's going to probably happen a couple more
So
times.
I want to ask,
before
are
he
the
gets
Cowboys the definition of insanity? Is that what we're saying?
Oh,
No, I
you got to look at
absolutely-
it for this
You said they're
aspect.
smart. I think that they're playing the long game, and everything that they put out is strategic, it's purposeful. They're businessmen. They know what they're saying.
That's
They
what
know
I
what they're
think.
doing.
I
And I think that is just a waiting game. Stephen Jones even said it in a press conference probably like a month ago. He said, oh, we have until August. That right there let me know that he's okay with playing this long waiting game to see who's available and who's available for what.
I think the Cowboys are the definition of hubris It's their egos.
Okay, I'll
That
take that
is
definition better than it said.
Yeah.
I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Because as much as people keep saying you should get a GM, they simply refuse to do it. And from listening to the press conference, it sounds like they put themselves in a hole that they're not really sure how to get out of without hurting the roster.
Yeah.
But had they maybe gotten some help in the front office years ago, maybe they could have avoided
And they
that.
did admit to their mistakes. Okay, signing Zeke to $90 million.
Yeah, they can
may have been
admit
too
to
much.
their mistakes,
Jalen
but does that
Smith
fix them?
They didn't
No,
say
no,
per
it does not
se.
fix them. But at the time you were doing it, I think those reasons were very justified.
But it's
Me
not like
personally.
at the time they were doing it. It's stuff that's still happening. Hold on, I'm about to pull you up an article. I'm not even.
that's cool.
I'm
No,
not
no,
even
let's-
gonna say
let's
this
do it.
off
Let's do
memory.
it.
I'm about to
Okay,
quote it
let's
to
go
you.
with it.
I'm about to quote it to
About to
you.
get into the nitty-gritty with it. Come
The
on with it.
receipts.
I've been rocking with Jazz all day. I'm with it. I'm
Jazz,
with it. Show
Jazz
me.
with it. She's on a level 10. You know how it is. Yes, indeed. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. While she's pulling up that article, the Steelers are on the clock right now. And let me see if I can pull up their information.
Offensive
As far
tackle.
as Steelers, you know.
I wholeheartedly believe so.
Oh,
That's
wait,
what they're
we
looking
need
for.
some offensive tackles. Good for us.
According to them, you know, they lost Mitch Trubisky.
Right.
They lost Mason Cole. They lost, I think, Keanu O'Neal. He's no longer there. Patrick Peterson. He was long in the tooth. That dude had a long tooth there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Allen Robinson. They lost all of those things right there. But they got Patrick Quinn.
Yeah.
They got Dante Jackson for a trade. So how you feel about those things right there? And Russell Wilson and all of those things.
The Steelers are obviously trying to.
What they trying to do here with
They're
all
trying
the
to-
quarterbacks?
I like the Russ pickup. I think he and I'm brain farting right now. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin. I think
Love
that
Mike
works.
Tomlin.
I think Mike.
Absolutely.
I think Mike can whisper to a lot of players, and it just works out for him.
Yeah. All right,
With the
pick-
whole the backup quarterback, Justin Fields. I think that's the nice insurance that they have in case something goes wrong with Russ.
Right.
Their direction is always a defensive team at the end of the day. That's who
Right.
they are.
Right.
But I think they need to start fine-tuning some things with the offense because they don't have an identity right now. Whatever is going on with them trying to say, oh, Najee Harris and George Pickens or the two guys, and that's not naturally falling the way it should.
Yeah.
Whatever they do in the draft is going to be best for them. That's the best I can say for the
Well, they
Steelers right now.
saying the pick is in right now, so
The
let's
Steelers
see
are
what it-
drafting offensive lineman Troy Fatanu.
Oh snap! Come on, man. Come on.
He almost
Come
fell.
on.
He almost did. Almost did.
Almost.
Almost
So
did.
close.
Oh,
So
my
at this
goodness.
point, y'all, are we still okay with saying we could trade back?
I think it depends.
Are we still okay with
we
what?
probably need to
Trading
trade
back.
I thought you said trade deck. I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
I think it,
Trading
I think it
back.
depends. A few picks ago, we felt like it was good to trade back, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now
absolutely.
we've seen a few more offensive linemen come off the board.
Yeah.
So 3 picks doesn't sound like a lot, but in terms of what would be best for the Cowboys, it kind of is.
Kind of is.
So
Depends
now-
on who's left.
We
Who's that?
might not know until it literally gets to the Cowboys or on the clock if it makes sense.
So
for
far,
them
you
to
got
trade
Tyler
back or
Guy,
not.
Jordan Morgan.
Yeah.
All right, I want you to listen to and respond to this, okay?
Okay.
This is from an
Bring it
article
down.
about
Okay.
Zach Martin's contract.
Okay, here we
It
go.
says, without the additional non-voidable years on the contract, the dead money in his deal, should he not play for the Cowboys after this season, would have been close to $25 million. Before redoing Martin's contract, the Cowboys were looking at about $60 million in dead money against the 2025 cap with the expiring contracts of Martin, DeMarcus Lawrence, Brandon Cooks, and Dak Prescott. A potential release of Michael Gallup, this was written in March,
Okay.
could add more than $8 million in dead money against the cap next year. From 2017 to 2023, dead money accounted for anywhere from 8% to 18.2% of the Cowboys cap per roster management system data. On a projected 2025 cap of $270 million, that dead money figure could be between 22% and 37%, making it difficult for them to retain or add players.
So we broke, Jazz. Okay.
22% to 37% dead money. So we're not talking about just decisions that the Joneses made in the past. We're talking about contracts that are currently active that they need to renegotiate. Otherwise, they're looking at more than a quarter of their cap space in 2025 going to dead money.
Yeah.
So that's why I say the Joneses are the definition of hubris, because it's not like they made that mistake once in '94, which led to the league implementing the salary cap in the first place. It's not like they made that mistake once in the 21st century with Ezekiel Elliott and resetting the running back market on accident. This is something they have continuously done year after year after year, and now they've finally gotten to a point where they can't kick that can any further down the road, and Dak Prescott is paying for it, not only on the field, but also off the field with his reputation, because every time Jerry Jones gets a chance, he refers to this situation as the $64 million question. It is not the $64 million question. According to this article, it's the 37% question. In other words, the question of how in the hell did you get to the point where 22 to 37% of your salary cap could potentially be going to dead money, and you blame that on the quarterback who is not the GM. I'm sorry, but this situation pisses me off.
All right, let's see what this pick is coming in right now.
All in, question mark.
All in. Fall in.
All right. Steelers are on the.
Yeah, who did they get? Right here?
I'm thinking they're going offensive lineman, probably right here.
Okay.
I can see Tyler Guyton get chosen.